Anyone else getting sick of Pauline Hanson's bullshit?
So the whole fact is, yes, it is a housing crisis due to high immigration coming into the country.
It might not be the main problem. We all know supply is the main problem.
If you just spend some time on the Australian Bureau of Statistics website, you'll know that immigration has next to no impact on housing prices at all. Firstly, let's go over the numbers she's spouting.
They were bringing in 1,544 per day.
This number was first conceived by Ben Fordham, the host of 2GB Radio, in which he notoriously made up a bunch of numbers for the then upcoming March for Australia last August. And we know he made up those numbers because the Australian Bureau of Statistics held a press release denouncing his claims. The other number Hanson uses,
You can't have 740,000 people come in 22 to 23.
is also just false. From 22 to 23, we actually had a net migration of 518,000. This is actually the highest immigration we have ever had, which is why that specific financial year is used as an example against immigration. However, these numbers just aren't as problematic as they sound. First of all, there is no housing supply issue. That is just a lie. Just go and look at the data yourself and you will quickly see that not only do we have more than enough housing to comfortably house every single person in the country, citizen or otherwise, but also the rate in which we are developing dwellings is faster than our population is growing, citizen or otherwise. To top it off, when we talk about net migration numbers, we often don't consider that nearly 2/3 of all immigrants are only here for a few years maximum. This means homes being taken up by immigrants are also being freed up quite frequently. Also, one immigrant does not equal one house off the market, as, believe it or not, multiple people tend to live under the same roof together. So a figure of 518,000 just isn't as bad as it sounds in terms of housing supply. And even if it was, as I mentioned earlier, immigration has a very minimal impact on housing prices. A very extensive study found that per postcode, an immigration population increase of 1% only raises housing prices by 0.9%. And that if there were no immigration at all, housing would only be 1.1% cheaper. So you know that $1 million 3-bedroom house you had your eyes on, but sadly you just weren't born into royalty? Yeah, migration is only responsible for about $11,000 of that price tag. The reason for the housing crisis is private ownership under capitalism, and allowing and rewarding landlords and property investors to drive up value, i.e. pricing of houses as much as they want so they can make more money. That is why we're in a housing crisis.